All right, how do we find the radius from the area? Okay, so if they give us the area, how do we find the radius? Okay, remembering area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, so if they give us the area, and I'm just going to make something up. Let's say they say the area is 500 inches squared. Okay, and that would equal pi r squared. Okay, how do we find the radius? Okay, so we're trying to find that radius. I know this keeps skipping. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is we're going to divide 500 by pi, okay? Because we're dividing pi from both sides. And we haven't done a lot of algebra. If some of you have done algebra before, you'll recognize this process, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is divide the area by pi, okay? So remember what pi is? We're going to use 3.14, okay? Now, some of the ones in your workbook, you will need to use the pi button on your calculator to get the correct answer. So if you are working in your workbook and you're working at home and you don't have one of our calculators, you're going to get close to the answers, but you won't get to the exact answers, okay? So if you're getting very close, you are then like, 2/10 or so of the answer, then you are doing it correctly, because the pi button on the calculator has more numbers and it will be a slightly larger number in general, okay? Or in this case, slightly smaller number. All right, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's switch over to our calculator and let's go ahead and clear that out from last time. 500 divided by 3.14. And that is going to give me a very, very long number. And I'm going to go ahead and round to the nearest hundredths place. So in the hundredths place, I have a 3. And in the thousands place, I have a 5. So this is going to round up to 159.24. All right. 159.24 equals radius squared. Okay, and that's where it starts getting a little more tricky. Okay, if you remember back at our exponents, we talked about finding square roots, right? The square root, if I wanted to find r and it was squared, I could square root both sides. And it's been a while since we've worked on these, so this may be something you don't quite remember. Okay, so what basically we have is we have r times r equals 159.24. Okay, and I just want to find one r. To do that, I take the square root, because remember the square root says there are 2 of something and I just want one of them. Okay, so the square root of r squared is r. There are 2 r's. The square root, remember we talked about square root is the same as r to the 1/2 power, right? There are 2 of them, and out of those 2, I want 1. There are 2 r's, I want 1 r. Okay, that means 159.25. There's 2 of something multiplied together here, and I want 1 of them. And let's see if we can go figure out, 0.24. Let's go figure out if we can see what that is, okay? So clear this out, 159.24, and let's find that, it's making me put the square root in first. I'm not quite familiar with this calculator. 159.24, okay, I put the square root in first on this one, okay? We do that on our calculators at school, but my one at home is the opposite, so I get a little confused. All right, and that gives me 12.619 blah, 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 blah. I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth in this case. The nearest hundredth is at a 1. The thousandth is at a 9. That's going to round up to 12.62. Okay. 12.62. So in this case, 12.62. Right? So the radius is equal to 12.62, and I believe we were doing millimeters. Oh, it does not want to put a dot for me. Okay. All right. Whew. And if I want to find the diameter of this, remember radius is equal to 2 times the radius is equal to, 2 times the radius is equal to the diameter, okay? Right? So 2 times the radius is equal to the diameter. So 2, come on little pen, times 12.62 is equal to, switch over to our calculator. Let's clear this out. 12.62 times 2 is equal to 25.25. Okay? 24. Wow. 25 was wanted to be a 4.24. Okay? And that is going to be our diameter. This would be our radius, and this would be our diameter. Okay? See if I can remember those numbers. So we have our circle. We have 12.62. That's supposed to be a 2. Okay? And then our diameter, right, all the way across is double that, which I believe came out as 25 point what? 0.24. 0.24. And these, I think we were working in millimeters, I think is what we were doing. Possibly I just mixed that up. It might have been inches. I don't remember at this point, okay? So we are 12.62 for our radius and 25.24 for our diameter. Okay, so let's go ahead and write out those steps. Right, if I have the area and I want to find the radius, okay, whoops, let's change that to black. Okay, so I'm trying to find the radius or the diameter, okay? How do I do that? I'm going to switch over. Okay, so first, okay, we divide. Wow, that's not working either. My pen isn't working very well today. I apologize. First, we divide by, let's try that again. First, thank you guys for being my guinea pigs. Let's divide. I even spelled divide. Divide the area by pi. Okay, so remember how we did that? We had area equals pi r squared, and we divided it by pi. Okay, 2. Okay, we found the square root. We took the square root. Okay. Okay, so we divided it, and then we took the square root. Remember, the pi's went out, and we had area, we had some number, and we took the square root of both sides, and that gave us our radius. Okay, and 3, if we want to find, well, that's supposed to say 3. If we want to find the diameter, we times the radius. Radius, wow, it's really acting up, times 2 gave us the diameter. You have to kind of literally read in between the lines here, as it does not want to actually write today. Okay, so the first thing we did was we took that area and we divided it by pi, right? Right, that gave us a number. Then we took the square root of it, okay, and that gave us the radius. Now we had the radius, okay? If we want the diameter, we take the radius, we multiply it by 2, and that gives us the diameter. So that's pretty messy. Writing on my phone is pretty messy, but it's pretty quick for me, so it's easier for me to get these videos out. So thanks for putting up with low tech. Hopefully this is somewhat helpful to you, and give these a try.